Hi everyone, today I'm working with some of the vintage papers and I've made this little hidden journaling spot flip out, so I'll show you how it works. I've got it attached to just some, this is some packing paper that I've stitched around, and I've decorated it with some of the vintage photos and some of the paper flowers. So you flip open the first tab and you've got a little corner tuck spot and a little tuck pocket with a tag in it, and then when you flip over the second tag you've got this little pop-up card with another photo on it and two spaces where you can journal, and it's all closed together with magnets so it stays nice and secure in your journal as you're turning the page. So that's what we're going to make today. You need just one piece of paper, US letter size or A4. This is about 200 GSM, it's just some cardstock, and I've just shown you a diagram of how to cut it so you can get it all from one sheet of paper. So your first cut, you're cutting 5 inches, so you can see the line hopefully there, so you'll cut a 5-inch strip that way. You'll cut a second 5-inch strip up here, and then you'll subcut that strip, and then you'll get it all from one. So let's do that now. So I want the first piece to be 5 by 8, so I'm just going to cut this at 5, and then I'm going to cut that down to 8. And the second piece I'll also cut at 5, and that's just going to be some scrap, and then I'm going to turn this and cut it down to 4 inches, and then this one I want at 3 7/8 by 4 1/2, so I'm just going to turn that and cut it at 4 1/2. So there's my pieces, and then from either one of these two pieces you want about 1/2 inch. That's a little bit on the skinny side, so this one will be better. You want 3 1/4 by 1/2 inch, so this one is right on 1/2 inch, and I just want that at 3 1/4. This is going to be the card base, and I want to score that at 4. So I'm putting the 8 inches along this side and scoring that at 4 inches. And folding that in half and just giving that a burnish. That's my base. This other piece, the 5 by 4 inch, is going to go on the top, and so I want to score that along this side at 1/2 inch, and that's going to be the hinge. So that piece is going to sit on top. That's the hinge part there, and that will hinge that page. So that's going to go there. And just give that a score. Put that aside for a minute. This piece is going to be the piece that flips out. So it's going to be this piece. And so you can see on this example that I've rounded these 3 corners, and that one corner has been folded over on the back of this card. So to do this, what we need to do now is, with this part, we just need to do a couple of quick measurements. So I want to measure from this center fold 1 1/4 inches, and I'm just going to put a little pencil mark on the edge and do 1 1/4 inches down the seam. Put a little mark, and then I'm just going to join those marks up. And I'll rule a line right on the hinge where it cuts. So we're going to actually cut this piece out. Now this is the card that's going to go in there. So I'm going to round the corners. So one, 2, 3 corners, and I'm using a large rounder on here, and this helps when you're opening and closing the card. By rounding these corners, it just helps it to not stick. So when you open it like this, by rounding the corners here, it just helps it not to stick and catch. So that's this piece. Now what I'm going to do is I'm lining up this side and that side and getting that nice and square. You can see that I've got that part cut out at the back, so I'm just aligning that. If you wanted to, you could put a couple of paper clips on it just to hold that really steady. And then I'm just going to flip it over. This is the cut line. I'm just going to make sure that's all square. I'm just going to fold that over that corner. I'm going to glue that little corner. Okay. So that's nicely lined up. If you need to, you can trim it a little bit. I don't need to at the moment, it's fine. This part is the front cover, so that's going to hinge on. I'll put that on in a moment. Now this little piece that we've got, the 3 1/4 by 1 1/2 piece, we just need to put a couple of score marks in this. This piece is going to be this part in here, this little mechanism in here. So we just need to make a couple of little score lines on it, and to do that, just going to bring my ruler in and lay this down. I want to measure on the bottom part of this. I want to measure and just place a small mark at 1 1/8. So just make a little mark like that, and at 2 1/2, and then bring it up to the top, and on the top I want to mark it at 1 3/8. Again, just put a little mark, and at 2 inches. And I'll just, hopefully you can see those marks there. I'm just going to join those, and I'll rule the line in to show you. So there's the marks there, and these are going to be folded now so that you get that almost a Z shape. Okay. So I'm just going to take my small scoring tool and just score both of those lines. So this is the way we marked it. So this was the 2 1/2 inch mark. I'm just going to call this little part A, and this little part B, and that will just help you when we're putting it together. If you're going to decorate, you need to decorate. I decorated the back of that and the insides of these two cards here. So I want to decorate both of these, which will be the same measurement. So at the moment that's 4 inches wide and 5 inches high. So I'm going to cut my papers 1/4 of an inch smaller than that. So I want 3 3/4 wide by 4 3/4 high. And those two are going to go there, and then on the flipping card this measures 4 1/2, so I want 4 1/4 by 3 7/8, so 3 5/8, so 4 1/4 by 3 5/8. And they will go there, so I need to round the corners on these ones. Might leave the typewriter on that front end, so I'm going to round those 3 corners. And then I'm just going to flip this over and fold it, and that will give me a line to cut on to fit it onto that corner piece. So that's that piece, and then this piece I'll round these 3 corners and fold that one back. Now because I'm doing this in the vintage style, I'm going to ink everything. Now if you're doing magnet closures, which I'm going to, I'll show you here on this one. I've got a magnet tucked underneath this back cover, and that sticks to a magnet hidden under this picture here. And I've also got a magnet on the top here. So before we glue these things down, I've just got these little tiny magnets. I'll put one on the back, and I'm just going to hold that down with a little bit of tape. Okay, so now the next magnet is going to go on this. I'll show you again on the sample. So underneath here, on top of this front cover here, which is this at the moment. So I'm just going to sit that on and let it lock into position, and tape that. And then the final magnet, when I'll glue this on, which I can do now, just along the hinge. And then that final magnet is going to go on that top cover there. Okay, so just again, there's one on the back, one on the front, and one on the top of the front cover. So I'm going to glue everything into position, and I'm going to do that using a little bit of glue stick as well as my art glitter glue. And before I put the hinge on, that's got the mechanism on, I'm just going to ink around everything here, because it will be much harder to do that once it's the mechanism is hinged in. Alright, so now let's get this piece back again. So here's my A side. Turn this so that the point here is going to sit on the edge of the card, and this point here on the B side is going to match up here like that. So let me get that again, and if you've got it in the correct position, it will make a triangular shape there. So that's good for me. So now let's re-glue that. Burnish that down, and before I just finish, I'm just going to rub off my markings. If you wanted to, you could add a bit of decoration to that. Pop that on there. And you could put some ink on there too if you wanted. Okay. So now on the other fold, you are going to, let me show you again on the sample. So we have glued this piece down underneath, and we're now going to glue down the top of that piece there. Okay, so with this piece we want to fold this up. We want to put glue on the top part of it. And then lay it flat, and we're just going to flip this hinge down over the top of it. And without bending it, flip it over and just give that a really good burnish. Okay, and that's our mechanism attached. So at this stage, just making sure everything's all aligned. Just allow that glue to dry fully, and if you can, I'm just opening it up, I'm just making sure that that's really burnished on very well. So I'm just putting pressure on that hinge part there, and just leave that now to dry fully. And now you're decorating it. So with this one, what I've done with this one is I used one of the vintage photos, a little tag, a couple of the paper flowers, a little card and a couple of the tags, and a little bit of lace. I also used a little bit of tea bag and a couple of die cut flowers. Just a piece of scrap paper for a corner tuck, a piece of contrasting paper for this pocket, and I've just put a little bit of gold around the edges. That's one of the tags from the video that I did on making beautiful vintage ephemera, and the tags are part of that as well. On this flip card I've just put a vintage photo with a little piece of black paper behind it, some lace, and one of those cards. So I'll decorate this one up, and I've printed out a couple of different bits and pieces. I thought rather than going the landscape way, I might try a portrait image. So I've got some of these photos, and I think I might try, I think they'll be a pretty good size. I might try this one here. This is all of the stuff from the vintage ephemera. So to get a little card of some sort, what have I got here? A ticket or a card that might look nice, something that's going to go with that. That's pretty, that might look nice. A couple of the flowers. I've got a little bit of tea bag I could use. To make the flowers stand out, I'll just cut a circle. This is just copy weight paper. That makes that circle pop. Gonna need a couple of page tabs. And then I've got these little tags. Could go down the side. Maybe that one. So quite like those. What I might do first is, if I've got enough of this, and I do, so 3 1/4 wide by 4 3/4 high. Make sure I've got it up the right way. So that's going to go there, and this will just give the contrast that I need to make those images all stand out. So with that image now, I'm just going to place a few things around to see where I want them. Just tear a little bit of tea bag to have behind this flower here. And a little bit of black card, just enough to frame that. Okay, so I've made a delightful mess. So there's the front cover. You flip it over, you've got a little tag tucked into the corner pocket and another little tag tucked into that one. That closes magnetically, and then the second part opens up and you've got some journaling space. I could add another image here, but I think I'll leave that one for the moment. So that's ready to go into a journal. So for example, that's ready to sit onto a page like that, open out, and then open out again. So just give that hinge a little bit more time just to dry fully before you work that too much. But I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you found it useful, and it'd be really lovely to see some of your work if you do make some. Thanks for watching.